Have you ever found yourself wondering why you react a certain way, almost like you're on autopilot? Well, today we're going to dive into those invisible scripts that can shape our entire lives. You know, those echoes from our past that sometimes keep us feeling really stuck. To get started, I just want you to think about a few things.
Just let that one sit with you for a second. That feeling, that internal pressure to always say yes, to be the helpful one, even when it means your own needs go right to the bottom of the list. Where do you think that comes from?
Or maybe this one hits a little closer to home. You know, at work, in relationships, that quiet little hum in the background that's always telling you that your value is tied to what you do, that you're not really enough unless you're achieving something. And what about this one, that nagging sense of guilt whenever you try to prioritize yourself, the feeling that taking care of your own needs is somehow selfish? You'd be surprised how common that is. And here's the thing, it's almost always connected to those first two questions. They all kind of feed each other.
So, if any of those questions made you nod your head, even just a little, I want to be super clear about something. There is nothing wrong with you. It just means you're hearing an echo. It's a learned pattern, a survival strategy that got wired into your brain a long, long time ago.
To really get why these echoes have so much power over us, we've got to go back to the beginning, back to where they were first recorded. So let's explore where these patterns actually come from. Look, when we're kids, our number one job is just to figure out how to feel safe and loved. And honestly, we get really, really clever at it. These patterns we're talking about aren't flaws at all. They were brilliant solutions to whatever was going on in our childhood world. The only problem is we often keep running that same old software in the completely new operating system of our adult lives. And just take a look at some of these common ones. The people pleaser who just can't set a boundary, the perfectionist who is absolutely terrified of making a single mistake. These aren't just little personality quirks. No, they're like super highways carved into our brains, formed way back when. So seeing the pattern is step one. But the real power, that comes from understanding why it's there for you. So let's connect some of those dots. It's time to take a look in the mirror. Okay, think back to when you were a kid. If showing big feelings like sadness or anger wasn't really welcome, or maybe it even felt unsafe, you probably learned really fast to just swallow them down to keep the peace. And now, as an adult, that can show up as a powerful urge to avoid conflict at all costs. Or what about this? Did you have to grow up way too fast? Maybe you were taking on adult worries, or you became the emotional caretaker for your family. Well, that can build a pattern of hyper-responsibility, and now you're left feeling like everyone else's happiness is your job, often forgetting about your own. And what about approval? If love and praise felt, conditional, like you only got it for getting A-plus grades or for being perfectly behaved, well, it makes total sense that as an adult you'd be caught in a loop of perfectionism, always chasing that validation from the outside world. You know, just seeing that connection can be a total game changer. The moment you realize your reaction right now is actually an echo of something from way back then, you can stop blaming yourself. You can start to understand your own internal blueprint, and that is a huge leap forward. Okay, so awareness is where it starts, but what's next? How do you go from just understanding the map to actually redrawing it? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how you actually create change. The real work here is learning to tell the difference between what was then and what is now. It's about consciously realizing that, say, your boss's critical feedback today isn't the same threat as a parent's disapproval was back then. It's about teaching your brain that the old danger it's freaking out about isn't actually hearing anymore. And look, this is so important. This is a fundamental truth about this kind of work. You cannot just think your way out of a pattern that was built through years and years of experience. Change happens when you do things differently. You have to act your way into a new way of being. So here's a roadmap, a practical guide. First, you spot the trigger, that familiar flash of anxiety or that rush of anger. Then comes the hardest part, but also the most powerful. You just pause. Even for a second, you create this tiny little space before you automatically react. And in that space, you can challenge the old belief and choose a new, small action. And then you do it again and again. That repetition is what forges the new habit. And when you follow a framework like this, you're not just doing some kind of psychological exercise. It's actually biological. You are actively, physically rewiring the pathways inside your brain. Okay, a little reality check here. It's so important to be realistic. These patterns didn't show up overnight, so they're not going to vanish overnight either. Real, lasting change takes consistent practice, a whole lot of patience, and a ton of self-compassion. We're often talking a period of several months, maybe even up to a year. This really nails it, doesn't it? Awareness is what unlocks the door. But it's that consistent practice, those small repeated choices and actions, that actually walks you through that door to the other side.
This is the incredible science of neuroplasticity, and it is happening right inside your head. Every single time you pause instead of just reacting, every time you say no when you mean it, every time you let yourself be imperfect, you are weakening an old, dusty neural pathway, and you're building a brand new, stronger one. You are literally becoming the architect of your own mind.
So, it all comes down to this. The final question is for you. Are you ready to stop being directed by these echoes from the past and start consciously writing your own script? Now, this journey can be challenging for sure, and sometimes we just need a little support to see our own patterns clearly. If this feels like a path you're ready to go down, then getting the right tools and guidance can make all the difference in the world. For those of you who are interested, the link in the description will take you to applied cognitive neuroscience sessions. They're specifically designed to help you understand how your brain works, to identify the resistance it naturally creates, and to give you the tools to effectively train these new patterns. It's a fantastic next step to continue your journey.